Hi there. I'm Elaine Smith, the Artistic Director of the Clamour Theatre Company. We're holding these creative conversations with actors, directors, and playwrights so that you can learn more about Clamour and the artists who work with us. Welcome to this edition of a Clamour Creative Conversation. Today, we're talking with Barbara Blatner, a playwright selected for our 7th Annual Playwrights Retreat, whose play Cage is going to be read on February 27th as part of Clay and Water 2025 at the Regal Center in Penny Farms, Florida. Welcome, Barbara. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for inviting me to Florida.
It's great to have you with us. So why don't you take just a moment and introduce yourself, tell our viewers whatever you'd like us to know about your bio and your background, anything we like to know.
Okay. I have always been a writer and a musician, and I really have not been able to imagine doing anything else. My heroes have always been artists, and music and words have always been something that I've been totally in love with. And I was kind of at the beginning of my writing work a poet, and I still completely love poetry. But after a while, the solitude became too intense, even though I was giving readings, but there was something about the theater collaboration and the dynamism of writing characters, writing lines, and then actually hearing them embodied. And it's a very fragile kind of collaboration because you don't know what is going to unfold because you're working with other people. But when it works, it's really, it becomes kind of a profound ritual, I think. So I fell in love with theater. I saw a couple really amazing things, and I also took a Shakespeare course, which I had not taken in college. So I audited it after college. And what pulled me in was I think it might have been Richard II or something, but there are two guards taking the little princes up to the tower to be executed, basically. And those guards have 4 short lines between them. So they each have 2 lines, and the teacher somehow burrowed into those lines and showed us that there were complete human beings in those lines. And I'm like, wow, I would really like to do that. I will never be able to do it at that level, but I just was so moved by the humanity of those plays. And I think that's why I stick with theater, because especially in this highly digitalized age where we're all wondering what the robots are going to do and who they're going to become and what is it to be human now, that I keep feeling that I want to go toward more and more human, even if it's retro, okay? Because I think the AI is making me realize is that the human is what I love and am completely fascinated with. So that's another reason that I stay with theater, because you are constantly dealing with what is it to be a human being? What are the sufferings and the joys that we all go through? I'm a really hard worker. I've had to learn how to write a play as a poet and really learn dramatic structure and rising action. And I feel like I'm really getting there, which is really, really satisfying. Um, as a poet, I love language. And so I like to really intensify the language of a play and use language as action. So, what are we doing with and to each other with our language?
Mhm.
So, in Cage, there are many times where the two characters are talking past each other, trying to either avoid the other or get to the other in some way. And hopefully, at the end of the play, their language actually comes together in some way.
Good.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
we'll see.
So let's talk a little bit about Cage without giving away any plot spoilers. Is there anything you want to tell us about, what the play's about or anything like that?
Yeah, I won't say the kind of main thing that goes on in Cage because I want to keep that as a surprise. But I really wanted to write about a teenager who, among other things, is really obsessed and deeply concerned with the climate crisis and what it's going to mean for her individually, but also what it's going to mean for the animals of the world. And ironically, she has had many pets that she has not been able to keep alive because of her difficult relationship in her family, and there's just been a difficult divorce. So I am trying to raise questions about how do we relate to animals? How do we, what is a pet? I don't know any of the answers. I don't know any of these answers. Um, so I'm hoping that the play really raises these questions and will provoke people to think about our relationship with animals and with each other, because we are also animals. So I wanted to keep it a two-character play to intensify the dynamic between the mother and the daughter.
Good. So now tell me, what made you decide to apply to the retreat?
Well, I really love being in a retreat situation with other writers is probably the biggest pull for me. So I've gone to a lot of artist residencies, and what I love about them is that in contrast to life in a place like New York, and I don't know what it's like in Jacksonville, but you have to build relationships. They build very slowly because you're not seeing people continuously enough. So I really am drawn to uh, playwriting opportunities where there's going to be an opportunity to get up to get to know other writers and to bond with them in a very naturally unfolding way over a number of days. And this is a week, I mean, or 5 days really, but there's always going to be an intensity to that. And I love that. And I want to learn from the other writers, and they all happen to be women this year. And I think they're all from New York, if not New York City, but New York
Yeah,
State.
they are all from the New York area.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of neat too.
Yeah. So, do you have a favorite play of your own?
Of mine, I think that's a really hard question because, of course, we're all in love with all of our plays, right? Um,
It's true.
I the play I probably it's really was my first play. It's called White Ashes, and it's about a woman in a mental institution. It's based on, I used to work as a recreation therapist at an inpatient facility, and I met a woman there who was a longtime resident, and she um, used Nazi metaphors. So when she got upset, she would say, I will tell the Nazis to get you. She was Jewish also, right? And I loved her. I found her fascinating. And so I wrote a play completely speculative about her as a long-term psychiatric inpatient whose father was a Holocaust survivor and he had molested her. And she uses this metaphor. I mean, it's completely wild. It's completely crazy. It's funny. I mean, and people have had trouble laughing at it because they don't know if they're allowed to laugh, but it's my wildest. It's definitely my wildest.
Has it been produced or is it
It
still
has
waiting?
not been produced. I mean, I would love to have it produced. It feels a little transgressive, this play.
Hmm.
I mean, you've got like it's all in a psychiatric center and it's really out there.
Okay.
So I would love to have it produced.
Okay. So then we also asked this question because just to add more things to my reading list and anybody else's is like, what are three favorite plays that you may have seen or read by other authors, and what do you like about them?
Okay, I love the question. Well, I mean, I go back to Shakespeare. Hamlet is probably my favorite piece of writing in the world. And what I love about that, many, many things, but I love the character of Hamlet. And I love how Shakespeare is looking at the interior life of that character. And I think that was incredibly new in theater. I don't think that really happened before. The language is fantastic, but also I admire how you have this very language laden text, but you have an incredibly strong skeletal plot structure. So it can all hang there, and it all seems to work. And it's immensely moving to me, that play. And I've seen it I've seen various productions of it. Um, I was thinking about this. I really liked Annie Baker. Annie Baker's play that I recently saw, Infinite Life. It's very, very, very slow, and I can't get the image out of my head. It's set in a pain center, like a retreat where people are going to deal with chronic pain. So you have a collection of people who don't know each other, and you see how they're relating to each other. And there was one image where complete silence, a woman was kind of dragging herself across the stage, and we were watching every single second of that happen. And the level of detail and intimacy and the way that she uses language, which is very uh almost they're almost like code, it's almost like code. It's so spare. Really admire that she has a musical vision in her work. And then the last one, I saw a couple years ago, Playwrights Horizons, called Downstate, and it's I'm blanking on his name. He wrote Clyburn Park, Bruce Norris. Really in your face, Steppenwolf production, very kind of aggressive about men in a halfway house for men who had been incarcerated for sexual assault of some kind. And you can probably tell I like heavy, big topics. I just do, I just really do. Um, Very, the guy that was the focus of the kind of the protagonist, or one of them, is this very lovely, benign piano teacher who's offering tea, and he's very gentlemanly, and you find out that he had molested a couple students, 11-year-olds, like years before. And the actor was so strong, and just the contradictions in the characters, and it ended up in violence, and just powerful, powerful, powerful writing and production. Really, really kind of indelible. And I walked to the subway on 42nd Street crying because out of gratitude for that play, because
Hmm.
I was so touched and impressed by that play.
Good. All right. Well, there's more things I've got to read. when I get time. Tell me, is there any book you can think of that has been really helpful to you in your development as a playwright, or just inspiring about life in general?
Um, I don't know if you know Story by McKee, Robert McKee. No,
No.
he kind of I don't no, I think he's still around, but he is a screenwriting teacher, kind of a guru, and brilliant. It's called Story, and it's a big fat book. And I took 3 days of lectures, in person, quite a while ago with him. He goes around the country doing lectures and workshops. And I remember when I left, I said to my husband, how am I going to be there for 3 days and listen to one person? And it was completely mesmerizing on very, very profound analysis of story structure and just incredible. So I'll give you one quick example. He was talking about Jaws. He's mostly talking about film scripts, but you can learn if you're in any genre. He's saying that in Jaws, literally in the production of Jaws, the boat got smaller as the shark got bigger. Which is like, oh wow, that's so hokey, but I guess that's what happened, and so, that's rising action right there. You just like he just very brilliant. Yeah.
Great. Yes, that is very profound actually. So that's interesting. I'll have to look for that one too. So
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
For our viewers, if you'd like to know more about Barbara, you can look for her and her work on the New Play Exchange website at newplayexchange.org. And for more information, you can visit her website, barbarablatner.com. If you'd like to attend the free reading of Barbara's play, Cage, on February 27th at 7 p.m. Eastern at the Regal Center, you can make a reservation on Clamour's website, which is also the place to go for information on our other events. That's clamourtheatre.org. And you can find us on Facebook as Clamour Theatre Company. As usual, we will post all of those URLs in the description below. And if you'd like to see more interviews like this one, please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. Barbara, thank you so much for taking the time
Thank
to
you,
speak with us
Elaine. Really
today.
good talking to you.
Yeah, we're literally looking forward to the reading, and we're very glad you've been able to join us for Clay and Water
I'm
2025.
delighted. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you so much.